Good evening, everybody.
Hello.
All right. Doug had I texted Doug Lapp. Doug Lapp had to get in contact with Dan Cable Murphy, who had to get, and just the chain went on. So obviously everything's taken care of.
Rob, you're all set. Our apologies.
It happens.
Thank you.
Not a problem, brother. You gonna turn it over to me now?
Yep, I'm going to. Yep.
All right, rock and roll.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we? It's obviously a little late, so I'm going to say 7:44. Just welcome everybody to the July, starting in progress. Here we go. Welcome everybody to the July 5th, 2022 meeting of the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals. For the record, all members are participating remotely. That would be myself, Tim Haynes, Bob Baker Sr., Bob Baker Jr., who am I missing? Gregory Tanzi. And do I see Mr. Galley in here? Am I missing him? Not a problem. I don't see Mr. Galley, but either way, he'd be participating remotely. I would entertain a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Got a motion?
Second.
I got a second, multiple seconds. Roll call, myself, yes. Mr. Haynes?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Sr.?
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.?
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi?
Yes.
Meeting's open. Let me read the legal advertisement. Remotely conducted continuous public hearing will be held by the Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals on Tuesday, July 5th, 2022 at 7:30 p.m. on the application submitted by Rockland Old Exit 14 Inc., DBA Green Rock Cannabis, 1015 Hingham Street, Rockland, Massachusetts, for a special permit pursuant to section 415-19C19 marijuana establishment pursuant to section 415-38.5 and section 415-38. Section 415-38.5 and section 415.38.5 marijuana establishment to allow applicant to operate an adult use marijuana establishment engaged in the retail sale of marijuana and marijuana products at the premises known as and numbered 1015 Massachusetts. The property is located in the H1 Industrial Park Hotel Zoning District, section 415-19 of the bylaw, and is further identified as lot 11, map 4 on the Rockland Assessor's maps. The owner of the property is 1015 Hingham LLC, address 80 Washington Street, Suite J40, Norwell, Massachusetts, 02061. The applicant and all interested parties are advised to check the town website and the zoning board's webpage for additional information and remote meeting details. Okay. I just want to go on record as saying thank you to everybody, from all the different departments to review engineers to the applicant's engineer, everybody involved. There was a ton of communication going back and forth. Mr. Galley, I see you now. How you doing, sir?
Well, thank you.
I haven't seen this, and I haven't really seen this ever. The amount of communication that went back and forth between everybody to basically make sure that everybody had the appropriate information to be able to make any kind of decision tonight or in the future when it comes to this property. So again, I just want to thank everybody for putting their best foot forward to make this all happen. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Lally, right there, Mr. Lally. Talk to me, sir.
Great. Can you hear me all right?
Absolutely.
All right. Again, my name is Rob Lally, and maybe what I'd like to do is I do have a presentation just to kind of get things started and form of an introduction. And so if I can go ahead and just share my screen.
Absolutely, sir.
All right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Rob Lally. We're here for our second hearing for the Rockland ZBA, which was continued from the May 31st meeting that we had last month. I am joined here by Greg Donahue, who's the other owner of Rockland, Old Exit 14. And we also have the building owner, James Rader, Yasre Keys from Forrester Consulting, who is our cannabis consultant, Bob Michaud from MDM Transportation, Ryan Maxwell from Bracken Engineering, Jerry Seelan from our architecture, Roth and Seelan, Jim Bosamo, our general contractor, and not here tonight, but also part of our team is Becker Clifford from Sign Design. And we tried to bring everybody here today so that we could hopefully respond to and answer some of the questions that were posed last time we were together, and also any questions you might have tonight. I just wanted to start off by talking a little bit about our presentation and where we are today. And a lot of what we have done is built off of the prior applicant that was approved, the Cresco Sunnyside project. And so I think you'll see, as you've seen in the application, there's a lot of similarities. And but I do want to point out two of the big differences that are not similar. And I think the first is that our application is not for a medical license, it's just for an adult use. And you know, the Cresco Sunnyside folks were applying for the 2 licenses. We are only doing 1. And I think the other thing is that we've modified the floor plan slightly to actually reduce the retail area by roughly 30%. So it's a little bit smaller of a footprint on the retail side. And we have a bigger vault is really where that space came from. So I just wanted to point that out, but we have a lot of the same, you know, a lot of the similarities as far as building on some of the access easements that were provided and some of the discussions that had been going on before this. But I think overall, we think that our proposal is just a little less impactful than what was already approved. And we look forward to answering some of the questions that we had from our previous meeting. I would like to introduce Ryan Maxwell, who's from Bracken Engineering. One of the things that we started off with from our prior meeting was, let's get an understanding of where we are today and what still needs to be done before we finish the project. And so we turned to our civil engineers that presented you with a kind of a list of the outstanding items that need to be completed before we get to our certificate of occupancy. And I do want to echo right off the bat, a thank you as well. Mr. Rosa, you mentioned it. There were a lot of moving parts over the last month, and great response from every single side. So we appreciate everybody stepping up and allowing us to get this done in such a short period of time. So at this point,
effort. It has to be a group effort.
Yeah. So Ryan, I'll let you kind of drive. I'll just list out what the 9 criteria, but maybe you can talk to them for everybody.
Sure. Yep. So again, my name is Ryan Maxwell. I'm with Bracken Engineering. Our office had prepared the original design plans for this project and recently went out and put together that Asphalt Plan that everyone should have a copy of, along with a letter from Don Bracken that outlines these 9 items that you see in front of you, of things that still need to be completed. So running through this list, there was, well, I guess, do you want me to go through the whole list?
Actually, is there any way that somebody can share the screen and bring the Asphalt Plan up?
I should be able to do that.
I think I do have the Asphalt.
If not, I have it. I can do it. And I can do it. It's just, it's whatever it takes.
Yeah, you know what? Do you have it, Ryan?
I do. Yep.
All right, I'll stop sharing and you go to that.
Okay, can everybody see this?
There we go.
Okay. All right, so this is the Asphalt Plan.
First thing I'm going to ask is we're going to make sure that this is 100% the same plan that got submitted to the town, because I see draft on yours.
Do we not have draft on it? I definitely have the real copy.
I have stamped certified copy from
Okay.
Alan Grady and Mr. Bracken personally.
Okay.
Just want to make sure that it's the same thing, you know what I mean?
Let me just pull that up then. Okay. One second. Okay.
There you go.
Okay, so the 9 items here that we've got listed. On the first one was on the easterly property line. There was supposed to be a fence installed. So that still needs to be installed. Number 2 was the trench drains need to be modified to meet the plan specifications. So essentially the trench drains just need to span the entire width of both entrances. Number 3 was the wet swale in front of the site between the road and the wall, which is right here. Needs to be vegetated per the plan. So I believe it was just missing a wetland seed mix on the bottom here.
Was that coming from the planning board or was that coming from the conservation?
That would have been from the planning board. That's
Planning board?
Yep. It's a requirement for the design of the wet swale.
Okay.
Fourth thing was the outlet control structure, which is right here, needs to be completed per the plan. So it was just missing a couple internal screens on that. Number 5, the area behind the building needs to be planted with a conservation seed mix. So on our design plans, we had an area kind of around here that was to be replanted with this conservation seed mix.
Again, was that coming from the planning board or was that coming specifically from the conservation? Order conditions.
It was definitely on our plans to the Conservation Commission. So it's probably itemized in the actual order. But I'm not positive on that.
Hey, Pat, you got your ears on?
Yeah, I don't believe it was in the actual orders, but it was on the design plans.
Yeah.
Design plans, could that the planning board approve?
It would be both planning and conservation, I believe.
10-4. Okay.
So item number
Mr. Maxwell, I apologize for that.
No, that's okay. So just item number 6, we just said the plans should be verified by a botanist. Item number 7, there were supposed to be some curb stops on these parking spaces that were up against the building. So those just need to be installed. Number 8 was the ground sign at the Hingham Street entrance. There was supposed to be a ground sign right here that has not been installed yet. And number 9 was just directional pavement markings and signage. And that's a little transportation related, and Bob from MDM, who's also on, can probably address that a little further. But those were the 9 items that we called out in our letter. And I think Amory engineers agreed in their response letter that, those were the only outstanding items.
All right, Mr. Maxwell, let me ask you a question here. I've taken a list here and I'm just trying to make sure that I'm looking at it correctly. Every single thing that's missing at this point, was that something that the planning board approved?
Yeah,
Maybe you can ring in on this too. I just want to make sure that, because it seems like all of these are issues that were coming from the original planning board decision.
that's correct.
And so everybody agrees on that?
Yes.
All right, I think some of this did come from zoning discussions. I think the fence, the very first one, the fence, I think that came from that was a zoning board. It was either a recommendation or it was part of the original conditions.
Mhm.
The trench drain modification, that would have been definitely would have been at a minimum the planning board. But as long as I know that all of this the planning board saw from the original get-go, and this is what they based their decision on. I just want to make sure that everybody's, on the same page with that.
That's
agree.
correct.
And everybody, okay, so that's perfect. I just wanted to make sure on that. I'm sorry, Mr. Maxwell, I butted in on you again.
No.
That's my bad.
It's okay. So I guess if the board has any other questions for me, I'll be happy to answer them. Otherwise, I'd pass it off to Bob with MDM to discuss the traffic items.
Board members, do you have anything for Mr. Maxwell?
Chairman?
Well,
I see Mr. Baker Jr. I saw his hand first.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Maxwell, I was a little bit unclear when you went over the list of which of those items has been completed and which of those items remains to be completed.
All of those items still need to be completed.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Baker Senior, I think you were talking,
Yeah.
you stepped up here.
one thing, I thought we were gonna have them put a no left turn sign on the opposite side of Hingham Street.
Let's see.
I think that was a recommendation from the police too.
I tend to agree. Let me see if I can pull up. Let me see if I can pull up the original submittal that we put in, because that was technically all design plans. Here we go. Here we go. Where is it? Right here. And that's the one, that's that one, that's that one. That is.
I think that, I'm sorry to interrupt, this is Rob Lally.
No, please.
So I'm not sure where that no left turn sign was decided prior to this, but I think we've carried that requirement through.
Okay.
And what I'd like to do is maybe have Bob Michaud from MDM Transportation go through of, what we're proposing as part of our plan to, handle the traffic concerns.
Great. Thank you, Rob. For the record, Robert Michaud with Transportation Consult. Can you see the presentation I have up on the screen?
Hasn't come up yet.
There it is.
Okay. What I want to do is really just recap three specific aspects that have been in discussion over the last few weeks. I'm not sure how quickly this is going to, like I might have a lag on the slides here, so I apologize. But essentially what I want to do is talk about site access and circulation from the perspective of first, how we've adjusted the site plan to reinforce the left turn restriction at Hingham Street. That entails a combination of pavement striping and signs, as well as wayfinding signs that would direct patrons to use the signal if they want to make a left turn on Hingham Street. Second, the driveway sight lines, and specifically how those sight lines meet the required standards for both stopping sight distance and what's known as intersection sight distance, ISD. And we've confirmed that they in fact do, and point out that there's been some recent clearing within the right-of-way of the frontage that maximizes what those sight lines look like. And third, that the circulation aspects of the project actually work as well. We had modeled a fire apparatus moving to and within the property as part of our submittal package. Based on the as-built, we've remodeled that, and we're pleased to say that it works as we originally thought it would. And
Mr. Michaud, I'm going to stop you real quick.
The fire department has actually done some trial runs on Friday to confirm that.
They've already Mr. Michaud, they've already, you don't have to talk about that anymore. They've already sent us documentation.
Fantastic.
So that's
great.
done.
Okay, so what you should see on your screen, hopefully there's not too much of a lag, is a plan that shows some pavement markings and signs on it. right? And what that shows is that at the Hingham Street driveway, we're suggesting the use of pavement markings that would have a gore area at the driveway with an only right turn only pavement marking on it to reinforce right turn only movements from the driveway. And as you had suggested, Mr. Chair, opposite the driveway, there would be the placement of a no left turn sign, which is a recommendation of the police department and happens to be consistent with good industry practices. You'll also see on this plan a no left turn sign on the site side within the property. So anyone who's turning out to go to Hingham Street is going to see the sign flank either side of the driveway, no left turn. So it's going to be abundantly clear through a combination of those signs and the markings that this is a right turn only driveway to get out of the property. Within the property, you'll also see wayfinding signs that indicate that patrons seeking access to Hingham Street South will be directed to the signal. Okay, and that was an outcome, as the board knows, of a cross-access agreement with the adjoining property, which we think is highly beneficial and not necessarily absolutely necessary, but absolutely a benefit and a more efficient and safe way to leave the property through signal control. These specific signs and these markings, which we've shown in red line, have been shared with the site civil engineer, and the final as-built, if you will, should incorporate these elements, and it could certainly be included as part of a decision that the board has. From a sightline perspective, we do have travel speeds out there. We know that the posted speed limits go from 40 to 45, and we know that the speed surveys that have been conducted are generally consistent with those posted speed limits. And apply standards based on those posted speed limits, regulatory limits, you'll see that the required stopping site distance, right? That's the time or the distance it would take a vehicle to detect a vehicle leaving the property at the curb line of Hingham Street to be able to perceive, react, and come to a full stop, right? And so those requirements range from about 360 feet traveling eastbound to 305 feet traveling westbound. We have more than 500 available feet, right? If you're in a car, you can see this driveway along the curb line for 500 feet or more. The second standard, which is the one that is a little more finicky, if you will, is the intersection site distance. So if you're a vehicle stopped in the driveway and you're looking left or right, this is the distance that would be measured from your eye position once you're stopped to a vehicle approaching, right? And vice versa, for that vehicle to be able to see you eye to eye. That standard has to at least be equal to the stopping site distance, right? The 305 to 360 feet. If we're looking toward, for instance, that is not an issue. There's more than 500 feet of intersection site distance in that direction. Looking left or south, right, toward the signal, there are two measurements that we've made in the field that validate first and foremost that we meet the 360-foot minimum standard without doing anything further. That it increases to 430 feet based on clearing and maintenance of vegetation within the right-of-way. I'm pleased to say that as of last week, that the vegetation that existed within the right-of-way along that 430-foot line has been cleared. And I've actually got a photo that shows what that looks like, right? So if I go to the graphical representation of all of this, you should see on your screen sight line intersection site distance with some colored dashed lines on it. We took the measurement from two stopped positions. So you'll see the vehicle stopped at the stop line, right? The driver's eye position would actually be 8 feet behind the curb edge of Hingham Street in that scenario. We don't have sidewalks in this case, so the vehicle would stop closer to Hingham Street than what the the ASHTO would otherwise suggest or recommend. From that position, you can see that the light green dashed line, that represents the ideal intersection site distance, ISD, right? The dashed blue line represents the minimum required intersection site distance. And you'll see that we not only meet the minimum, we actually also meet the ideal along that sight line, along the site frontage. And that's from that 8-foot stop position. If we took a more conservative view of this and said, well, maybe someone would stop further back from the stop bar, further back from the street, so that their eye position was 14.5 feet back, which is not likely to happen, but if it did, those same standards are met, right? So again, the light blue dashed line and the green dashed line both indicate, in the blue case, the minimum, in the green case, the ideal, and they meet those standards, okay? And the picture of this is in the next slide. If it will, let's see, it doesn't seem to want to advance on me here. Hang on. Okay, I can't advance to the next slide. When and if it does, it'll show a picture indicating what that looks like in the field today, as of this week, and we can clearly show that those standards are met. So our conclusion here is that with the enhanced markings and signs, that we can absolutely reinforce the turn restriction. Second, that the applicable standards for sightline are in fact met based on the as-built plan and the recent vegetative clearing that took place. And we do recommend that over time that vegetation be maintained so that those sightlines are maximized at all times, right? Now, I have on my screen a picture. I don't know if you can see it, but it's entitled Sightline Looking West Vegetation Cutback, right? That should be visible to you. And if you could confirm that. This is, you'll see that white Jeep in the picture. This is taken from a position 14.5 feet back through what used to be vegetated. And you'll see that there are guy wires and there are tree stabilizing posts and other things that are not, while they're in the sight line, they do not impact your ability to see a vehicle as they're approaching as a moving vehicle, and vice versa for that vehicle to see you as a stopped vehicle prepared to make that right turn. Another view of that is the picture, which is entitled ISD intersection sight distance from the eastbound approach, or really what would be the northbound approach. This is actually taken at a point about 375 feet away. This was taken when the vegetation was still in place. You'll see the vegetation just behind the mast arm, which is that black, post right there. You'll see that there's vegetation that crept into the right of way. That's what was cleared. And so this 375 feet is the distance that was available at that time when the vegetation was there. And it exceeded the minimum 360-foot standard. Since that has been cleared, that has since become 430 feet, which meets the ideal. So it's much more visible at this point. And that's really all I have to offer at this point. I'm glad to answer any specific questions the board might have. I don't have to review the circulation per the board comment, board chair comment.
Good. Just one quick question. And any chance you can pull up the picture with the Jeep again?
Yeah, sure. Hang on. I apologize for the lag. I'm not sure why it's Verizon's not treating me well tonight. Okay, just give it a second. Okay. That should be on your screen now.
Nope. There it is. All right, I'm trying to line this up to figure out where that Jeep is. Are they stopped?
Yeah. All right. No, they're traveling. They're moving. Those are moving vehicles. So there's a white Jeep and another black SUV behind it. You see that in the center of what what is the Jeep, you'll see that post, that's the mast arm assembly for the signal. And you'll see that you could see, of course, see on either side of that mast arm, but the vehicle behind the white Jeep is at that 430-foot position that I mentioned.
Just trying to get a handle on that. Two questions. How wide is that opening?
That opening, really, it's from where the left, in this photo, if you look at those guide wires, they're yellow. Those are the wires that hold up the utility pole.
Yep.
From that position all the way over to Hingham Street is probably about 30 feet or so.
So that gap in the trees, you're saying that's 30 feet?
Yeah, the gap in the trees where the vegetation was removed was probably a width of about 12 feet, 10 to 12 feet.
All right, so basically that window is 12 feet wide.
Yeah, but that window extends further to the right side of this photo, right? So the first point at which you can see a car coming around the corner, so to speak, is 430 feet away, right? That's the black SUV in this picture. Once you see a vehicle, you continue to see vehicles as they move along Hingham Street. Had this picture been taken sideways, you'd see a better view of that. And have some supplemental photos in the back of this deck that I'll try to get to here to show you, because they show alternate photos that we took.
Well, if you don't mind.
Baker,
Question.
please.
How high up is that cut? There's an awful lot of
that cut is about, yeah, it's at least 7 feet. You can see the tops of those vehicles. And right. So there's about a 2 to 3 foot clearance above the vehicle height. The measurement that's most important is from ground height to driver's eye position is 3.5 feet. The clearing itself is about 7 to 8 feet high, right? So there's a pretty good vertical window.
Would that be high enough for a trailer truck?
It would be.
Tons of trailer trucks coming up and down that street every day.
Yeah.
All day.
So the driver eye position on a trailer truck is about 6 feet, six to, it's not more than 7 feet. AASHTO, which is the regulatory or the guidance group that sets these standards, suggests that the clearance of any vegetation from ground level to bottom of canopy, say a tree canopy, is 7 feet. And that window allows for proper visibility for any vehicle type that might be traveling on a road, right? Now, in the case of a truck, and that's a good example to bring up, while the driver's eye position might be higher, trucks actually, are not singled out any differently than a passenger vehicle, right? They tend to be able to see longer distances because they're up higher. Although it takes them longer to come to a stop, right? And those two factors counterbalance one another. So the same standards that apply to an automobile for sightline apply to trucks as well under AASHTO. And we can show that we've exceeded the minimum standard of 360 feet. We've met the ideal standard of 430 feet. And just to give you a sense as to the difference between the two, an ideal sightline really means that you won't have to slow down by any more than about 10% of your travel speed if you see a car pulling out of a driveway, right? It's a convenience factor more than anything. Whereas the 360-foot standard, the stopping sight distance, is a safety-based standard. It means you need all of that to be able to stop, entirely stop. So we've got an extra 70, about 70 feet or so of stopping distance, if you will. And that distance allows a vehicle to slightly decelerate if they need to allow that right turn vehicle to make their movement, right? And so we've got a good buffer here. Is a good way to put it.
Mr. Baker, does that answer the question at this point?
Yes.
Pat Brennan, I'm gonna come to you real quick. What do you think? Does this meet the planning board approval? You know, does it meet what they saw?
Yeah, with that clearing, it does now. I mean, when I went out, it obviously wasn't cleared, which is why,
Okay,
you know, and it was pretty thick vegetation. So it is something that they're gonna have to maintain in order to maintain those sightlines.
okay, so that would be, honestly, that would end up being just a simple, we could put that in as a condition, that it has to be maintained.
I think that's appropriate.
All right, I do have one question though, one other question. As I'm looking at this picture, that vertical black thing that's in front of the white Jeep, is that a utility pole? Or is that the
No, that's
mast?
the mast arm. Yeah, that's
Okay,
the mast arm.
that's the mast arm. I'm trying to see where that mast arm is on any one of these site plans. Just want to get
I think it is shown. It's just very light.
okay. Is there any way we can get oh, there we go. I see it on, okay. I can kind of see it on the existing conditions plan. More than likely, it's tucked behind the curb, all right, on that entrance as you're coming in.
Yes, it is, Rob.
Okay, I got a question. And I don't know if this is gonna, I don't know if this is gonna raise any issues or anything like that. That area was within the conservation's jurisdiction. Anybody contact conservation to find out if you could actually clear in it?
Just a point of clarification through the chair, that is that nothing was removed, right? It was simply trimmed. And we've been in this exact scenario on Nantucket, actually.
I believe
we were
it.
bucked up. Yeah, we were bucked up against a wetland system, and we needed to do some vegetative maintenance and clear. You know, it wasn't clearing; it was actually maintenance and trimming. Which in that case, which was a much more restrictive environment for a lot of reasons, was not deemed an issue as it related to conservation, because we weren't modifying, we weren't tearing out anything. We were simply limbing and trimming.
Okay, no, that's understood. That's 100% understood. This is a safety situation.
Right.
You know, again, you didn't, as far as I can see, you didn't modify any of the wetland that's there. But in the end, we may require another, as a part of the special permit, we may end up requiring an easement area over that section. I think it still falls within the easement area that's there. Yeah, it does. All right, that area does fall within that easement area, but somebody's going to have to be responsible for maintaining that and paying for that. And the sheer fact is that technically that should have been picked up with the planning board, because they're the ones that govern the site issues. They did, but I guess nobody was thinking ahead. I don't remember who said this, but it sounds like the original traffic study was done during the winter. That's why there was no trees there, you know, at that time. So I don't know what this does when it comes to maintenance and who's going to be responsible for the maintenance. It has nothing to do with us at this point, actually. Again, if it meets the planning board, you know, if it meets the planning board's original approval, we're golden. But we are going to have, you know, we would have to require some sort of condition that states that site distance needs to be maintained 365 days a year.
Yeah, and again, through the chair, it is a common condition to cite that. And it would behoove the applicant to make sure that happens anyway. But that's a common note on a plan, and it's a common condition that we see on every project that we work on. So that's fair.
Okay. Anybody else want to talk about the traffic at this point? when it comes to my board members, is everybody okay traffic wise?
Yes.
All right, we're good there. What else we got? What's next at this point? And I think we're well covered at this point. We know where the site stands. Mr. Bracken went out of his way and basically gave us a list of conditions that we can work with. Mr. Brennan, I know that you also did some of this work too. Can you, any chance you can pull that up and read that to us?
What the,
The conditions?
no, I just attached Mr. Bracken's letter to my letter.
Oh, okay. Well, then, and so far, so good. The only other thing that I could really think to pull up at this point is in my email. And again, it's not something that we'd really go over during the meeting at this point, but what it comes down to is based on the last special permit, the granting of the special permit, there were several conditions that were in there. Mr. Lally, Ms. Keys, I'm assuming that the two of you have already looked at that. Yes. Was there anything in that list that was out of control? Did you disagree with anything major in there? Because again, we'll probably be able to use that as a model and then modify accordingly.
Again, we reviewed that and kind of based our proposal on that. So I don't think there's anything in there that is especially, problematic for us.
Okay, board members, I'm going back to you. Is there anything that you need to talk about? Is there any questions that you have from the applicant, from Mr. Rader, from Pat Brennan, anybody?
No, Mr. Chairman.
I'm seeing nothing but shaking heads.
I just have one quick question.
Mr. Tanzi, go for it.
The last slide showed the fire engine apparatus, and it's the swath that the path went through, and there was a correspondence by the fire department that said that they had concerns about that.
I'm going to cut you off there. He went out and redid it, and it passed.
Oh, he did.
Yep, there's additional correspondence that just get, Deb, I don't remember when that came in. Was that yesterday? No.
Dated today, I think.
Was it dated today?
Yeah, he went out on Friday and dated the letter today.
Okay, so that it's Greg, you wouldn't have known that. That came in super late.
Okay. All right.
So he's gone. They were Deputy Chief Heaney himself went out, did this again, because he had concerns the first time. But he went back out, remeasured, redid it, and has no problems at this point.
Good.
Other than that, Mr. Tanzi, are you good?
Yes.
I'm going to go to Tom Rubel. I see him sitting there, or I see his name up there. Mr. Rubel, are you happy at this point?
Yeah, I went down there at the site today inside. I'm looking for the architect report because it's a controlled job.
Mm-hmm.
They did tell me they had new drawings, but they haven't applied for the permit yet. So I haven't reviewed the new drawings yet. But as far as I can see right now, everything looks good as far as the dwelling goes. So
okay.
I was there earlier this morning.
That's all I care about is that you're happy at this point. So and if you're happy at this point and you like the way everything's going, that's all that I care about.
As of right now, I'm all set.
Perfect. Perfect. Attorney Galvin, I see you there with your Princess Leia headset on. So talk to me. What do you have any concerns at this point, sir?
I don't have any remaining concerns.
All right. What I'm going to do then is I'm going to open it up to the public, to the general public. If the public has anything they want to say about it, is there anybody that wants to speak in favor of this proposal? And hearing none, is there anybody that wants to speak opposed to this proposal? And
MK, he's got his hand raised there.
MKW, who is that, please?
There, hold on. It's Mike Westor.
Okay.
I mean, I'm fine with the project. I'm okay with them going there. I got no problem there. It's just the left-hand turn crossing the two lanes that, again, I have the issue with. The police even wrote in their letter that they want the main entrance to be at the stoplight. right? I know we're going to allow a right turn out, but if we're taking a left turn across 2 lanes in, what is that? I don't know if that affects the sight line, that we don't know whether it's 430, 360 or what. But what happens if there's another Canavana and traffic's packed up there? Like, they're going to do 92 cars an hour. That means 45 cars are going to take a left across 2 lanes, according to their documents. That's basically 1 a minute. So that lane's useless. That's my concern. Can't we just make it go to the stoplight? Like originally the police looked like they wanted and other people were comfortable with.
Oh, again, that's something that we're going to have to discuss during our discussion period if we decide to close the hearing tonight. So that's something that we're going to have to talk about.
Okay.
Rob, I believe the new plans show a no left turn into that driveway on the opposite side of Hingham Street. I believe it showed one on the plan.
Oh, then I'm good.
It's no left turn.
Clarification through the chair on that. So that no left turn sign is across the street. That's correct. It's pointed toward the driveway. So if you're leaving the site, you are in direct visibility of that regulatory sign so that you know not to make a left turn exiting the property. There's no other restriction for turning left into the property. And our analysis has consistently shown that because of the proximity of the driveway to the signal, that adequate gaps will be created from the signal itself to allow for that modest number of left turns to happen safely and in clear visibility of anyone that's approaching from the south. It's not going to affect the sight line whatsoever. It's not in the sight line triangle. It represents just over 1 vehicle, or actually less than a vehicle a minute on average, that would be making a left turn into the property. And it does not pose a capacity issue. So we're very confident that that can work efficiently.
Okay, Mr. Westord, any other questions or comments?
No, I mean, we've seen what happened to Canavana where they've got cop details and people are trying to cross 1 lane. And that's not even as busy a road. Now you're crossing 2 lanes, making a left. I guess I just don't see how we're not taking that into consideration.
Who said we're not taking that into consideration? He's going by engineering standard. All he's talking about is engineering standard. He's not talking about how this board feels. So there's a major difference between the two.
Okay, I got it. So I guess my thought is 1 car a minute taking a left across 2 lanes. I don't see how that doesn't cause a traffic jam, but okay.
All right, so we're good there. Mr. Lally,
something.
Answer.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just want to be clear. I want to make sure that Lieutenant Zioli's letter is not misrepresented. He does not say anywhere in his letter that there's no left-hand turns into that entrance, and it's very specific. And I've talked to him since the last meeting, and I don't know if he responded back to the board, but nowhere in his letter does it say no left-hand turn. So we all agreed it was a right-hand turn out and no left turn exiting. And that is what was presented and approved by and supported by Lieutenant Zioli.
All
right, so we got that taken care of.
Could I ask a quick question on this subject? Is the traffic light, does the traffic light have a designated left turn arrow going in that south slash, what do we call it, west direction? It's only a left turn, like there's no actual left turn arrow. It's just green, right? Am I right? Could anybody clarify that?
Gray.
You're right.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a go and pray situation.
Yep, and heading the other direction to make a left turn onto Commerce Road, is there an arrow?
No.
To make a left? It's in either direction. There is no left turn arrows.
There is a left turn.
There's a left turn.
To go into Commerce.
To go into Commerce, there is a left turn.
Okay.
There's a left turn arrow going into Commerce, but there's no left turn to go into the office building on
Mhm.
that this is connected with.
I believe the left arrow is just during the morning rush hour, if I'm not mistaken.
Mhm. Thank you.
Mr.
I just
Chairman?
wanted to clarify that because that's kind of how I recalled it being on the 50 times a day I go through it.
Yeah, exactly.
Mr. Chairman, may I add something?
Mr. Rader, talk to me.
You know, as you recall, this was heavily discussed at the Cresco ZBA hearings in multiple evenings. This issue was discussed, and the board allowed the left turn from Hingham Street into the property under the condition that A, there was an easement, which we've recorded, which allows traffic to go out to the signal. And B, that there would be a right turn only sign installed, which is part of this application as well. And C, that the board would reevaluate in 6 months after the business was open to make sure that what our traffic engineer has confirmed can be safely done. In fact, does safely happen. And the board has a 6-month window within which to evaluate that. So any further restriction than what has been proposed would be a serious hardship on this business and the use of this property to not be able to turn from Hingham Street into the property. So that's why we've looked at it, we've discussed it at length. We've looked at it with our traffic engineer. He's done the analysis and he confirms that that can be safely done. And then the board has a 6-month look back revision, the original conditions, which I assume will appear for Mr. Lally as well, to confirm that it's a safe movement.
Respectfully, I'm going to disagree with you, sir. A serious hindrance. They have a signalized, while they don't have their own left-hand turn arrow, it's a signalized entrance into the property. You're going to tell me that that's not safer than floor it and pray? Are you seriously?
What I'm suggesting is that
I know what you're suggesting, and that's probably that's a good suggestion. We've done that on several different instances, but that's something that we're going to have to discuss when it comes to deliberation. I appreciate your comments on it, sir, and we will take that under advisement. Okay.
I would also like to add that the police chief originally said that he was comfortable with that left-hand turn as long as there was an option to go to the signal, which is what we created under the Cresco proposal. Was we created that easement specifically to give a traffic another option, not the primary option.
Right. Through the chair, if I could just add one comment to that, because this factors into Mr. Haynes's question about whether or not there's an exclusive lane or an arrow, if you will. If you're approaching from the Home Depot side and you want to make a left turn to get into this property at the driveway as we're proposing it, you have the benefit of gaps being created by the signal, right? If you were to proceed to the signal to make a left turn, it wouldn't be any different. You're still crossing over 2 lanes of traffic. You're just doing it at the light rather than 430 feet prior to the light. And I would suggest it's actually easier to make that left turn at the driveway itself because the signal itself is creating those gaps that wouldn't otherwise exist if you were at the signal, right? So does that make sense? You've got to cross over 2 lanes, whether you like it or not, is the point. And at least at the driveway itself, you have the benefit of the regular gaps being created by the signal. And so the analysis shows us that will work well. And at the volumes that we're talking about, less than a vehicle a minute on average, it shouldn't be an issue.
I have a question then. If you go up just a little bit further, I think it's the next door building, the entrance to the next door building, where they technically have the same issue. If you're going south and you want to go into their parking lot, you make a left over the same 2 lanes. Now, on the northbound side at their driveway, they have a painted section on the road that says do not block the entrance. How do we make that
Right.
happen, Keith?
Yeah,
have to
the
request
reason
it
that
from
that's there is because that, I'm sorry.
They have to request that from the Board of Selectmen, Rob. That's how they got that.
Right,
in
and
the highway
that,
superintendent.
that marking that you're referring to, those are called do not block the box markings.
Mhm.
And they're placed in areas where there might be a queue that develops from the signal that would block a driveway. So that if you see the end of the queue, you don't park on the box and someone who wants to make a left turn from that driveway can do so through that area. That's why that's there. We're in a different situation at this property where the signal itself, we're not allowing left turns to exit the property. And you wouldn't have the same need for that box as a result.
So you don't think the traffic backs up to this intersection or to the driveway?
Well, no, it may very well do that, but what I'm saying is that we're not allowing left turns to exit the driveway. If we were to allow left turns to exit the driveway, it would be a good idea to have that do not block the box marking for that very reason that, you know, if someone wanted to make a left turn out of there and the queue was extending from the signal, that there was a gap in that queue that would allow that left turn to happen. It's not needed in this case because the applicant is offering to restrict that left turn. So it's a moot point.
All right, because on the flip side of that comment, most of the people that I see utilizing that do not block the box, they're taking the left.
Right.
All right, into the parking lot.
Yes.
Exactly what we're talking about here. So
right.
I'm wondering if that would be beneficial here because the traffic does back up to this driveway. It does.
Yeah. I don't think it would be better. I mean, if you were stuck in a queue on Hingham Street trying to get to the signal and you wanted to get to this facility, you just simply have to wait for the queue to start moving again, right? It's not quite the same situation. You know, it's.
I don't think you understand me, sir. I think you're misunderstanding what I'm trying to say. All right.
Okay.
You guys keep talking about the fact that a left turn into the facility at this access point when you're coming south.
Yes.
That's the issue that a lot of people do have. And that don't block the box thing up the road, that's what people are utilizing it for. Now, I'm not saying that people aren't taking a left out of there, but primarily people are utilizing that to get into that parking lot. I'm wondering if that would be something that would benefit this so people could get into the parking lot safer. Because you're gonna have to wait until nobody's coming anyway to get in there. And I'm saying that the traffic does build up here day and night. Mr. Galley?
I just got a question on this very topic on the do not block box. Would making that a condition be a hardship on the applicant?
Yeah. Would it be a hardship?
Well, the question about not letting them make an access turn into that driveway would be a hardship according to the applicant. So would having a do not block box on the street, would that create a hardship for the applicant? They'd have to pay for it, I guess?
They'd have to pay for it. They'd have to get approved through the selectmen. I'm just trying to make that a safer access point. That's really what it comes down to. Because
I mean, their resistance to it, I would think they'd be resisting it because it's a hardship, not because it's a bad idea. So my question is it a hardship to condition a do not block box?
Through the chair, I just want to clarify that those are subject to design standards under AASHTO, right? Or the Manual and Uniform Traffic Control Devices, MUTCD. Where we're talking about applying it is not compliant with MUTCD. So it isn't a cost issue. It isn't that it would be necessarily a hardship for the applicant. It's that it can't be designed in a way that complies with the MUTCD requirements. It's not the proper application of that do not block the box doesn't apply in this case at this location. But it does at the other. That's the easiest way to put it.
All right, well, again, subject to a 6-month review or something like that. Let's just hope and pray nothing happens. That's really what it comes down to. It's a hope and a prayer that no one gets in an accident trying to enter that accident. That's really what it comes down to. So it's not a big deal. And in the grand scheme of things, that's how we would have to condition it if that were a part of the approval. So I'm gonna shut down that conversation until we start deliberating. Is there anybody else that wants to speak? Let me see. We were in favor. I said in favor. Nobody spoke. We're still talking about not in favor or negative. So is there anybody else that wants to speak? All right, hearing none, I'm going back to my professionals. Again, Mr. Rubel said he was okay. Attorney Galvin, you said you're okay.
I'm okay.
Pat Brennan. Looks like he already took off. I know he had something else that he was doing. So I know he was okay with it at this point. Board members, you got anything else to add? Add, subtract, talk about it?
I have no further questions.
All right, let me just get to my cheat sheet here.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing.
Hold on. Let me just get to my cheat sheet here so I know we're doing this the right way. Hearing none. Close the open portion. Okay, I got a motion to close the open portion of the meeting. I got a motion. I got a second on Mr. Baker Jr. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Haynes.
Yeah.
Mr. Baker Sr.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.
Yes, sir.
And Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
All right. Meeting's closed. All right, here we go. Now I get to read. All right, Mr. Lally, the board will, and I'm reading on a different screen, so don't think I'm not looking at you. The board will deliberate tonight, and you are welcome to stay. You will receive a decision in the mail with a date stamp. 21 days from the date stamp on the decision, go to the town clerk's office, request a certificate of no appeal, and if no one is appealed, the town clerk will give you a certification and a copy of the original decision. Take those to the registry of deeds and have them recorded. One of the conditions is always to show the building department proof of recording. Yeah, so there we go. All right, and we've got nothing else going on tonight, Deb? All right.
Minutes to review.
Say again?
Just the minutes.
We have, minutes and scheduling, but.
Yeah, minutes of schedule. We can do that. Do we want to do that now or do we want to do that after?
After.
We can do that after? Okay.
Minutes?
Say again, Mr. Baker?
Do we have any minutes?
Yes, we've got minutes to review. Do you have a card? Deb, did you email that out to everybody?
I did this afternoon.
Mr. Baker, did you check your email?
I did.
Okay. So let's talk about this after. All right, we'll deal with it. We'll deal with this after. Does anybody need a bathroom break right now? We've only been going for a little while. Does anybody need a bathroom break?
Good.
Let's take a break. I want to open a window.
All right. Gally wants to take a break for a second. I could use the bathroom anyway. All right. 5 minutes.
Mom gets home. I'll put it for pets. It'd be nice if your pots were on the sink for your mom. I know.
I can go away. All right, Galvin's here, I'm here. Deb, we're waiting for Deb. Mr. Baker's here, Mr. Baker's here. Tim, we're waiting for, and Steve's back. Tim's back.
And Greg's still out.
Yep, Greg's still out. All right.
Ah, there he is.
Okay. All right, board members, we're all here. In here comes Deb. All right, now Deb had forwarded me a copy of last conditions. No, this one. That. No, we already knew that. Fresco decision. One, this one.
Rob,
All
I
right.
have a question with Bob, if you don't mind.
Attorney Galvin? Yeah.
Yes. Is this a totally new filing from the original one?
Yes.
Okay, so we can make any conditions we want on this one.
Correct.
Yeah, it's like the last one never even happened. But it's a good start. It's a pretty good starting point, put it that way. You know, that's the only reason why I've got it up on my screen. I can share my screen if everyone wants to look at it. We can go over the conditions that were there prior. See if we want to modify them.
Rob,
Yes.
my recommendation is that the board make the 3 required findings that the
Okay.
bylaw requires. And if you've made those findings, you can add the conditions. I think the ones that we had originally are fine. And there might be some tweaking of those conditions.
Yep.
But a lot of them come right from the bylaw itself.
Take it. No, that's understood. Attorney Galvin, do you want to read those findings that we have to make?
Yeah, can I just share my screen? I'll show you exactly what they are.
Please do.
You want me? Yeah.
Okay, can you see my screen?
Nope.
The bylaw, yes.
All right. So subsection E of the findings.
Mhm.
The zoning board shall not issue a special permit for this adult use marijuana establishment unless it finds the following: establishment designed to minimize any adverse impacts on abutters and other parties in interest. It'll meet all the permitting requirements of the applicable agencies within the state, will comply with all applicable state and local laws and regulations. And the applicant has satisfied the conditions, findings, and requirements set forth in this condition. The 2 mandatory requirements are that the special permit is limited to the duration of this applicant's ownership of the establishment and can only be transferred further without, with the approval of the zoning board. And it'll lapse unless issued within a year, or if not exercised within a year. And they have a requirement to remove all of the the improvements that are not generally or are specific to this use within 3 months of ceasing operations. Those are mandatory bylaw requirements.
Okay, so if we start off with findings under section E, 1, 2, and 3. Let's see. I would entertain a motion of when it comes to section E, subsection 1. Anybody want to make a motion?
So moved.
Can I make a suggestion too?
Always.
I might suggest that the motion be as conditioned, the establishment is designed to minimize any adverse impacts on abutters and other parties in interest as defined in Mass General Laws, Chapter 48, Section 11. Someone could adopt that. Someone could adopt that.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
I got a second on that.
Second.
I got a second on that. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
That's one.
All right, as conditioned, the establishment demonstrates that it will meet all the permitting requirements of all applicable state agencies within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and will comply with all state and local laws and regulations.
I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Got a
Second.
second. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
2 down. Next one.
The third one doesn't need that prefatory language. It just says the applicant has satisfied the conditions, findings, and requirements set forth herein.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Got a second. Roll call. Myself is, Mr. Baker Senior, I hear you.
It says the applicant has satisfied all the conditions. They haven't.
Attorney Galvin.
Well, we haven't outlined the conditions yet. So we're going to do that in the next part of the deliberation.
So should it say the applicant must satisfy all the conditions?
No, these are findings. So you have to say it as stated.
Just asking the question.
Nope, good question.
It's understood. No stupid questions here, my man. All right, so let me do this again. We've got a motion from Mr. Baker Jr. I've got a second from Mr. Haynes. That's still the order.
Yes.
Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Jr.,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
That's all. Okay, now.
Okay, conditions.
Okay.
So
Again,
can I just make a quick suggestion that you make the first and second condition paragraphs F and G about the transfer of special permit and abandonment or discontinuance of use. These are the bylaw requirements. So those would be conditions 1 and 2.
I have no problem there.
Mr. Chairman, could I ask through you to Attorney Galvin if you can
Absolutely.
magnify the font here?
I'll try.
Thank you.
Hit your control key and scroll in with your mouse. Usually doesn't.
This is a Macintosh, so.
Oh, you're a Mac user?
Yeah.
Knew I had an issue with you. I just didn't know what it was.
Can you see those better now? At
Yeah.
all? Hold on 1 second. I'm sorry.
No, I'm sorry to be a pain in the neck about it.
I can hold the page up to the camera.
I don't know how to make it bigger.
Oh,
Bob
wait a minute.
Junior,
Sir,
try pinch your screen out.
try what?
Pinch your screen out. I
Pinch
just
my
pinched
screen.
That might work if
I
it's
did mine.
possible.
Yeah, I
If you go
did
to
mine. I did mine. Came out.
Yeah, if you
I
go
don't have
to
any of my grandkids here to tell me how to do that, but that's all
upper
right.
left to upper right-hand corner, there should be a little thing that says view.
Yep,
All right, click that.
yep,
And if you go to try standard,
bingo. Thank you, gentlemen.
does that work?
It works.
Rock and roll. It's always nice when you're not using an Apple. All right, Mr. Baker Jr., is there anything that you wanna comment on there? Or are you happy with making F and G conditions 1 and 2?
I am happy with that, and if I can so move, then so be it.
All right, board members, everybody happy with that?
Yes.
Okay, so that's again, that's coming directly from the bylaw.
That'll be 1 and 2, right? On the
Yep.
condition.
Absolutely.
So Rob, do you want to share your screen and we'll look at the conditions from the previous?
Yeah, just say, I can tell you this, 1 and 2 were not those 2 conditions. They seem to be a little bit more,
Rob, there's another section, subsection C, that I've scrolled down to
yeah,
that are also articulating what I view as mandatory conditions.
perfect.
So C1 is that all marijuana shall be contained within the secure building. Then you have to set the hours. This applicant complies with the setback of the property within 300 feet. They can't have any facility there. There can't be any smoking, burning, consumption of any product containing marijuana or marijuana products on the premises. Obviously, there can't be any residential units in the same building. There's not going to be any drive-through service permitted.
Most of all that's already in the other one.
Correct. That's why I was saying these are the general requirements that we impose again on any marijuana establishment. No outside display, that type of stuff.
Yep. Oh, and then one other thing that I wanted to do, I wanted to see if, hold on 2 seconds here. This one. There. There. Here it is. Deb, I'm emailing you something. You can get it. You can get your D. Shuttlesworth one, right?
Why don't I stop sharing my screen so somebody else can put up something?
Yep. Here. And Deb, I'm emailing you what we talked about earlier, the Word document on this. And this, and this, and this. That's. All right, Deb, ignore the title of the zip file. It should be coming in. It's gonna have like everything that it's gonna have everything that we had.
Okay.
But again, I've got you're gonna see Rockland Zoning Board of Appeals Fresco-Final, and it's a Word file.
Okay.
So that again, from a ease of use, I think that'll help.
Okay, thank you.
Let me get rid of that. Let me do that. Let me do share screen. Share screen right there. All right, everybody see that? Do I need to zoom in?
Nope, that's fine.
No? Okay, because again, control and zoom, and that's how you do it. Control and scroll wheel forward.
That's so
All you
easy.
non-Mac users. All right. Again, a lot of what Bob had said is already outlined in here. The first two, never went in there, but that's directly from the bylaw. Used for retail sale of medical marijuana. Obviously, that's coming out. So we're going to modify that appropriately, to remove anything about medical marijuana. Number 2, again, that's coming directly from the bylaw. Number 3, the hours of operation.
Rob, on number 2 has the medical language in there too. That'll have to be cut out. Number 2.
That is separate for medical and yep. Okay. Any and all, literally just search and replace. Medical, replace with a space at this point, just to make it simple. Attorney Galvin, can I ask Mr. Lally if he likes the hours as given?
You can ask him a question. Yes, only the board can ask.
Mr. Lally? Yep. Are you here?
Yep, I'm still here.
You see the do you see the conditions as I got them on the screen right now? Do you see that?
Yeah, we were hoping our hours in our application are 8 to 10 Monday through Saturday, 8 to 8 on Sunday.
Board members, any issues?
What was it, 8 to 10 and 8 to 8?
Correct.
Wasn't there a conversation about Health Circle with hours? Does that have any relation to their hours?
That had to do with the medical end of it. There was an issue with there was an issue with the medical end of it, and that's why we had to deal with this. We're not dealing with medical at this point, as long as the requested hours meet the bylaw.
Okay.
So I would just explain to the board that if you're gonna grant hours like this to this applicant, in the event one of the other business has more restrictive hours, you can expect a modification request from them if those are more expansive.
And does anyone know offhand what the hours are for the other operations currently in existence?
Let me look in my files. I might actually have. Then I might know.
Health Circle is open from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Mr. Lally, what were you looking for?
We were looking, yeah, 8 to 10, Monday through Saturday, and 8 to 8 Sunday.
Again, how do we, so 8 to 10 and 8 to 8, Mr. Attorney Galvin, what was the difference?
No.
They're open from 10 to 9, looks like on Monday to Saturday. And they're asking for 8 a.m. to 10 p.m.
So it's 2 hours earlier.
That was for the COVID, during COVID.
Their current hours, according to the website, are 10 to 9 at Health Circle.
So A can be eliminated, really, because the governor's emergency is over.
True.
Give them the 9 to 9, 6 days a week, and 10 to 7 on Saturday, Sundays.
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Chansey.
does it make sense to keep their hours the same as their competitors?
What I'm gonna say is, I think I like that. And then as we do with everybody, 6 months from now, they come back to us for a review. We talk about the traffic.
Yeah.
We talk about a possible modification for the hours. Attorney Galvin, does that make sense?
Yeah, so let me just tell you, like in some of the other communities that allow these types of facilities, the argument has been made and actually seconded by the police chiefs that the more hours there are, the less congestion you have at any specific time. So if you're inclined to accept what they're proposing, it's fine. It's only going to make it more available, I guess. So less concentration of, you won't have a line of people at 10 o'clock in the morning because they could come at 8,
So you have no problem with, you would have no problem with the board conditioning the hours as the applicant is requested?
No, I wouldn't.
Board members?
I don't like the hours on Sunday.
I have no problem with businesses setting their own hours.
On a Sunday?
Why not?
Especially on a Sunday.
On a Sunday, it's only till 7 p.m. On Sunday, it's 12 p.m. to 7 p.m.
No,
I
he
think they're
wants it 8 to 8.
8 to 8 on Sunday.
Yeah. 8 to 8 on Sunday?
That's what he asked for.
Again, I don't have a problem with that. And if we have to take it to a vote, we take it to a vote. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I agree with Mr. Haynes 100%. Should be able to operate when they want to, assuming that it works with the bylaw.
Home Depot has
So you, just so you know, Canada hours are 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. and Sunday 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
So it's not that much. It's not that different.
It's 2 hours later start and 1 hour sooner close.
Not we're not
No.
talking more than like 6 hours difference. You know what I mean? It's not a half a day's difference. I don't, again,
It's 4 hours early and an hour later.
Well, I think unless the state or the town is going to create a statutory limit on the hours open, I don't think it's a zoning issue.
second that. Absolutely. I mean, if we
And the hours,
wanted,
and the hours as requested by the applicant are within the bylaw.
We don't have,
Or within whatever regulatory mechanism we're operating.
If you give me a minute.
he's gonna look it
I'll
up. I don't think the applicant would have requested something that wasn't allowable, A, by the state, or B, by our bylaw. I don't believe we have.
I think our bylaw just says that we can establish the hours for this business, but
Right.
let me just see if I have anything else here.
the medical facilities have a bylaw time, and it's 8 to 8.
But the adult use has no specific bylaw time. Is
Does
that
not share that, does not have that.
That's why he had to come back to us.
My big thing is liquor stores can have a set time that they can open and close now. On Sundays.
So,
All of the other retail stores in town have different hours that they have to be closed by. I don't see why a marijuana joint that's open 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, wants to open another 10 hours a day on a Sunday. We're giving them too much freedom to sell this stuff.
Legal.
I understand it's legal.
Should the guideline be what liquor stores have?
you don't want that because the hours can be open much later.
Yeah, they're open until 11. So here's what it comes down.
Liquor stores can pretty much do what they want to do between 11 and 11. Okay, the selectmen can allow earlier hours on certain days of the week other than a Sunday. I don't think we should try to mix apples and oranges here. I think if we're going to do the hours here, I think we should do 8 to 10, but be prepared to get the same requests from the other businesses. You know, that's all I would tell you. I mean, otherwise, put the same hours as the other businesses, and take a look at it 6 months later.
That would be my suggestion. Model it after the closest business. And then we're going to have to, we haven't talked about this whole right turn, but I'm assuming that in the end, we're still going to require a 6 month, review of how it all goes.
Rob, on this schedule right here, now we're beyond the state of emergency. It says 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., 6 days a week. So that would basically mean this other business was going to be able to open from 9 to 9 right there. Okay. So, and then we had 12 to 7 on Sundays. Now, as a practical matter, there's no restriction on them opening earlier on a Sunday than 12 p.m. So maybe you just say 10 to, or 9 to 7 or something like that on Sunday.
Do we? So one of the bylaws is that we set the hours, right? So the hours of
Correct.
operation shall be set by us.
Correct.
And we've got some look back. So it seems like it would make sense that we keep things consistent and have an organized review of all the hours. I mean, we must have look backs coming up that we need to take a look at. Canavan has been open considerably longer.
I don't think they've ever come back.
I think the simplest thing to do is to do what contained in this prior decision, say 9 to 9, 6 days a week. And then I think you should probably go to 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays.
Okay.
And then
Make
close
that a mo-
Thanksgiving.
Looks like Mr. Baker Senior is making that a motion as stated by by Attorney Galvin.
Second.
I got a second. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Attorney Galvin, can you repeat those hours one more time to make sure Deb's got that?
Sure, 9 a.m. to 9 p.m., Monday to Saturday, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. on Sundays.
Okay,
Closed on Thanksgiving and Christmas Day.
one and done.
Could it be open on New Year?
I'll make another motion that we have a 6-month review on that. On the hours.
With
So,
so
yep,
it'd be those hours with a 6-month review.
Yes.
perfect.
Second.
I got a motion. I got a second. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Rock and roll. Okay. Mr. Galley spoke up and said, what about New Year's Day? Are they going to be open on New Year's Day? I don't think.
Sure.
I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem with
I
that.
just don't know what the holidays are that you chose, that's all. So those are the only 2 holidays we're worried about, right?
Yeah, those are the holidays that we worried about with Cresco with this last one.
Those are the same ones for the other 2.
Okay.
Perfect.
No smoking, burning, consumption on site. That's coming directly from the bylaw. There shall be no drive-through directly from the bylaw. No signage shall be permitted that contains designs or symbols that depict or display in any way marijuana products, equipment, or plants, or other similar materials. Again, that's coming directly from the bylaw. We should, if it's not further in here, we should be, actually right there, all building signage shall comply with the Rockland's, with the current Rockland zoning bylaw, so that's already there. The traffic signs, that's not in the bylaw. I think somebody made that motion, and that sounds, I was gonna say, that sounds to me like a Mr. Baker motion, so that stays in there. Building signage goes to Mr. Rubel, that stays in there. No outside displays of storage of marijuana related, that's coming directly. All marijuana waste shall be kept securely inside. I'm not changing that. Applicant shall obtain site plan approval. This is okay. So we don't need this. But it should be stated somewhere in there that the applicant shall comply with the original site plan approval from the Rockland Planning Board dated whatever that date is.
You can fill that in. You can
Is that
fill
where,
that
is that
in.
where Attorney
Oh.
Galvin?
Yes.
Rob, it's on number 12, November 23rd, 2020.
Okay, good. Prior to the commencement.
Yeah, but we have our site plan has been updated now because of the signage and pavement markings and things like that for the right turn only.
Yeah, so there's a couple of things, and again, it's not shall completely be shown on the updated site plans. There were things that got changed. That's why I'm kind of.
I have a recommendation for you.
Please
So
do.
Mr. Rubel has broad discretion over site plan approval
Mhm.
and whether something is a requirement. So I would suggest that if it's required by the building commissioner, the applicant shall obtain further approval for the site-specific improvements shown on the updated site plans. And I just don't know what the date of the site plan from tonight was. Give him the discretion, because I don't think they're changing much. And if we're just talking about striping of the pavement and things like
The
that.
additional signs. I don't know if those plans actually got submitted, but they were submitted during the hearing tonight. So I think that those plans need to be forwarded to Mr. Rubel for review to make sure that he's gonna be happy with it. I didn't hear any objections at that, during the hearing. So I think that the as-built site, the interim as-built site plan that we've got right now, along with the traffic plans, the additional signage and pavement marking plans, that should all be submitted to Mr. Rubel for review. And
Yeah,
then,
well, but the applicant should comply with the improvements shown on the updated plans that you just mentioned.
yep, and the updated plans are dated.
29th, I think.
That's not it. That's not it. That's Bracken.
June 5th, 2022.
There we go.
Yeah, Rob, we have one other condition that wasn't in these conditions that we need to maintain. The applicant shall maintain the site distance triangle so that all trees and vegetation falling within that corridor are kept in a neat and trim condition to maintain intersection site distance and stopping site distance.
Anybody object to that? I like how he said, I like how he worded that.
That sounds great.
Copy that.
Next. Based on the agreement with the applicant, there will not be any present limitation on access and egress from the unsignalized entrance at the Hingham Street, other than a right-hand turn only requirement for exiting. The applicant and the board agree that there shall be a review of the traffic conditions associated with the unsignalized entrance / exit. I hate that word. I'd rather it say access.
I think you should strike this entire condition because we've already got past this on the site plan. There's going to be a limitation right turn only from that Hingham Street unsignalized. There'll be a right turn exiting only. So I think you should just delete this condition.
There's some stuff in there that I like and I think still applies.
Yeah, based on the agreement with the applicant, there will not be any present limitation on access and egress from the unsignalized entrance, exit north.
All right, you're right.
And
I don't like
right
that.
internally only.
Access and egress.
So basically, this
other than a right turn.
Yeah, saying they can use it right now. They can use it. Condition further. We'll agree that there shall be a review of the traffic conditions associated with for the imposition of condition further to be conducted 6 months from the date of the opening. That's where I kept getting the 6 months from.
I think you can leave it. You know what? In further reflection, I think you can leave this in. I don't think it hurts.
Okay, leave that in. The applicant shall obtain approval from the Rockland Police Department for a traffic plan associated with the grand opening. I'm not changing that. The applicant shall provide the Rockland Police Department with the names, phone numbers, not changing that. The proposed registered dispensary. And
just delimitate the registered dispensary part. The rest of that is fine.
Board members, we happy there?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yes. Special permit granted under this section shall have a term limited to. This is coming from directly.
These are F and G.
Okay, so 17 can get removed because we've already talked about it. Special permit shall lapse 18. We've already talked about it. We've kept that in the beginning, so that can go.
Sorry, did you say eliminate 17?
We already talked about it because these are the ones that we put in very first, like the F and G.
We have this one. It's just going to be in a different spot.
Yeah, it's going to be up. It's going to be right up top. So 17 can go. 18, technically, that's also coming from the bylaw, and F and G, that can go. Shall be required to move all materials. Again, 19, we've already talked about that further in the beginning. You shall be conditioned on the grant of an access. This is already there.
Quick question.
Yes.
On 19, you just strike out where it says or dispensary.
Which one?
19. Because dispensary has to do with medical, right?
19, the whole thing, the applicants, 19's already going because we've already got it further. So 17, 18, and 19 can go.
Okay.
shall be conditioned on the grant of an access and utility easement to the shall be continued, the use shall be conditioned on the continued
Now,
access.
once you grant and access the utility easement, it's there, so.
I mean, it's already there. I mean, he's already got it, so do we eliminate 20 or do we?
No, leave it in there.
No.
Leave it in there.
Okay, done. Applicant shall record a copy of this, that's a given. The applicant shall comply with all other local, state, and federal permits and approvals where applicable. Anybody else want to add anything different? Or on top of this?
I'm good.
Looks good.
We didn't talk, as a condition in here, did we talk about the fence that had to be going in there? Because
Yeah,
again.
it's in there. It's in there. It's in there. It's on the site plan. It's on the site plan condition. You had the decision up. No, if you go back to the decision and scroll down, I'll show you where it was.
All right, hold on. Cresco decision. And scrolling down, keeping going, finding reasons, blah, blah, blah. Conditions, here we go.
Keep going. Keep going. There it is, 12.
Let me just get Mr. Bracken's letter. One more. All right, again, fence. Again, this trench drains, that's something that's technically a planning board thing, but we can condition that, can't we?
Yeah, you could compliance with any of these things. In the letter dated whatever date.
All right, fence, we already know about that. That's good. Trench drains, wet swale, outlet control, behind the plantings need to be, curb stops, proposed ground sign needs to be installed east of that. And we already talked about any and all signs have to be approved by the building inspector. So
Prior to the commencement of operations, the following things shall be completed on this letter dated something from Donald Bracken, PE.
board members, we happy with that?
Yep.
Deb, you happy with that?
Did it
Want
say
that
before the occupancy permit can be issued?
Oh, it's either occupancy certificate or commencement of use, whatever you want. Opening a business, whatever you want.
Well, they can't open the business without the occupancy.
Right.
So,
So Tom would have to go over these things to make sure they're done before he issues it.
oh, yeah.
Just
Oh, yeah.
check on them.
Yep. So Deb, you got that as a condition, just, subject to da, 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 da. You good?
So is that going to be a part of number 12 and just refer to the letter, or is that going to be separate?
Just refer to the letter.
Yeah, you can refer to the letter, conditions.
Prior to the issuance of a final occupancy certificate and the commencement of use, the applicant shall address the items 1 through 9 in the letter from Donald Bracken Jr., PE, dated June 15, 2022.
But where is that going? Is that going as a part of number 12?
Condition.
Make it its own
It's
condition.
a separate condition. Okay. Okay.
Next. That's the only other thing that I could think to add into here. I don't know if there's anything else.
We took care of them with the opening as far as special. Remember how we limited the other one on Weymouth Street? They had to do a slow.
Oh, soft opening?
Yeah, a soft opening.
We have them having to discuss their opening plans with the chief so that there's proper precautions taken. That's already a condition.
All right, that's good.
Mr. Rubel, you have anything to say at this point?
Yeah, this is for Mr. Galvin. Bob, on our new online permitting, we have a sections there that are on sign offs. Should I be checking any of this that is not in compliance before I issue that permit? Should I check
Yes.
sign off?
Yes, because you still have to comply with other requirements.
All right, so I do it before I issue the permit. I check the sign off. Example would be, say, for planning board. If I check planning board on online permitting, I can't issue that permit until I get an okay from the planning board.
Yeah, well, as I indicated a little earlier, you have some discretion about site plan approval.
Right.
If these things are de minimis in nature and they're not substantively changing it, you can say that because there's already been a prior site plan approval, this doesn't require any further approval by the planning board.
Okay.
It would really come down to an updated site as-built plan. Pat Brennan would have to review that plan because he would have to review it for the planning board anyway. And then, again, I think Mr. Rubel, you and Pat Brennan would have to just communicate to some degree to make sure you're both in agreement.
Tom, I'll work it through with you on this.
All right.
What else we got?
Just vote to approve the conditions as discussed tonight.
I would entertain a motion.
I'll entertain a motion to approve with the conditions that we discussed and voted on for Hingham Street special permit application for Rockland Old Exit 14 Inc. doing business as Green Rock Cannabis.
I got a motion. I got a second. Roll call myself is yes. Mr. Baker Senior.
Yes.
Going in reverse here. Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Last but not least, Mr. Baker Jr. And I wish I could hear, I know what you said. I can read lips, but you are muted. So.
For the record, one more time.
It's past my bedtime, Mr. Chairman. I vote yes.
Absolutely. All right, there we go. What do we got? How long does Deb have to put this together?
She has 14 days to issue the decision.
All right, Mr. Lally, Ms. Keys.
Yep.
Everybody's here. Everybody's happy. Everybody's good.
Yep.
Yes.
All right. Congratulations. Welcome to Rockland. We'll give it 21 days. We'll figure it out what's happening. And just so we're clear, if I do decide to come to your establishment, I'm only using that entrance access point off of Hingham Street. So
Thank you.
we'll see what happens when a gigantic Chevy 2500 van tries to make that access. You're going to see some serious Dukes of Hazzard action up that hill.
All right.
Just warning you.
Well, thank you for everybody's time. We really appreciate it.
Thank you all for your time and effort. We appreciate it.
Thank you all. All right, people, we got to talk minutes, right?
Rob, do we have to make a motion for you to sign that?
Make a motion to.
Doesn't all the board members that voted have to sign it?
Only for 40Bs.
Okay. All right.
All right, so let's get to said minutes. Mr. Baker Senior, did you have a chance to get your email? Check that, see if Deb got that to you. I know she did.
My wife did.
Okay.
She brought them out to me on her phone.
Who's gonna watch the YouTube to figure out who made those motions?
What motion?
Nice.
I think there was some question about who made some motions in the minutes.
Oh, I'll do that.
And then in the end, Attorney Galvin made one suggestion, or he had one thing, Deb. Did you see that?
I did.
All right. What did he, do you know what he changed?
Yeah, in where it says the chairman introduces the member of the board to the public, he added identifies that all members of the board are participating remotely.
There you go. All right, that we have to keep doing that. And it's a part of
this
this.
is the last one.
For now.
Well, I mean, okay, yeah.
Things changed.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, so everybody, we're all gonna be shaking hands and kissing each other at the next meeting, just so we're all prepared. All right.
Brush the teeth.
I'll bring a box of Altoids for everybody.
I'll keep my 6 feet.
You kissing me, I'm going to mess.
There you go. Does
brushing
anybody
your
have,
teeth.
does anybody have any issues with the meeting minutes? Again, Attorney Galvin made some changes, and I know Deb says she's gonna go back and watch the video to make sure it all comes together. Is everybody happy with the minutes at this point, or do we want to see a revised once it's all said and done?
And that's so subject to adding the line about members voting and attending remotely. I make a motion that we approve the meeting minutes from February 1st, 2022.
Second,
I got a second. Roll call myself as a yes. Mr. Baker Senior.
yes.
Going in reverse, Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Senior. Mr. Baker Junior. My bad.
Yes,
All right. You gotta unmute yourself.
I'm not muted.
Caught you looking. All right, gentlemen, ladies. Thank you for.
Scheduling.
There was something else on the
We have
agenda.
scheduling.
Okay, that's
And
right.
board organization.
Yep. Both.
Let's talk. Who wants to be chairman? I'm not giving it, I'm not saying that I don't want to be. It's just, we have to do this on a regular basis. If somebody else wants to be chairman, make a motion. I will not hold any ill will to anybody.
Make a motion, we approve the proposed officers.
Second,
Okay. Roll call, myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior.
yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
and Mr. Baker Junior.
Yes.
And just to be clear, we're starting off at the top. Myself remains chairman. Mr. Tanzi remains vice chairman. Mr. Haynes remains as clerk. Everybody happy with that? Yes?
That's what you just voted for.
Exactly. Just making sure everybody's aware. What else?
Motion adjourned.
How about a
Yeah, not
motion?
yet.
Not yet. Deb's got to something.
How about if I make a motion to approve signatories for fiscal year 2023, payroll authorization, encumbrances and expenditures, primary Rob, alternate Greg, or majority of the members of the board?
Second,
Motion, I got a second. Roll call. Myself is a yes. Mr. Baker Senior.
Yes.
Mr. Haynes.
Yes.
Mr. Tanzi.
Yes.
Mr. Baker Junior.
yes.
Anything else, Deb?
Yeah,
Scheduling.
scheduling.
Okay, scheduling. Let's talk.
So if we have to add for a hearing in August, and only if we have to, but we do have some things coming down the pipeline. How do you guys feel about like a Wednesday, either August 10th or August 24th, or both, if we need to?
This is what it's coming down to, guys. Now that we
This
have
is
to
my
go
little
back.
list of other board meetings and dates and conference rooms if we have to stay live.
That's the problem, because everybody else is going to be clamoring for different rooms and stuff.
So today I got an update from the Attorney General's office saying there is no update. So we
No
don't know
update.
yet if they're going to extend it.
They don't think they're going to, but it's still on the docket to be approved.
I'm hoping that they do, but they haven't technically approved it yet. There's no update, no extension as of today.
Did we look at any other available rooms, like again at the library? I think we can even request the senior center.
Well,
You'd have to pay for a janitor though, Rob, to open and close it. Unfortunately.
the library may be like that too, but I'm not sure.
Do we have something
Yes,
that's
they are.
coming up that's time sensitive?
Well, no, but I know that there are a few things that may be coming down the pipeline, like when they file, depending on if we need to schedule. I'm not saying that we have to at this point, but I just wanted to talk about, I know it's summer and people have vacations and whatnot, if people aren't going to be available.
issue is probably going to come up. That's the problem, where we may have to modify our schedule to work around everybody else's schedule because we're scheduling so far in advance, and they've already taken up the rooms, you know, and you can't just say, yep, I want this room, but you need a reason to have the room. So it's not like we can just say, yep, every Tuesday at 7:30 we get the room, you know, or every other Tuesday. Unfortunately, we can't do that.
Yeah,
So-
Deb, on those two dates that you mentioned, the 10th and the 24th, I'm fine on both of them.
Okay. Anybody have a conflict with those Wednesday nights?
I will be away, and not available for in-person anything between the 15th and the 21st.
Okay.
So, Steve, do you have a conflict on either of those?
Yeah, the week of the 15th, I'm out of town.
Yeah. Okay, so basically, if it's something new, and we're all and everybody but the two of you guys aren't there, it's going to have to be a four-man vote. Which
And just on Wednesdays, I have planning board meetings with Bridgewater every other week or once a month, depending upon what their schedule is too. So
yeah, see, that's an unfortunate thing. We're gonna have to make that work too. So
yeah.
Do they have a calendar on their website?
They do.
Because I can always just double check.
There's not the problem is sometimes there's not always, it can be a little bit last minute, depending upon
I
how
get it.
chaotic things.
days prior. It's
Yeah,
always going to be two. It sounds like they're at the 100% 2 days. You know, you as a general public, we're only going to know 2 days prior to their hearing.
Hmm.
So is anybody else, does anybody else have vacation time to be out?
I have no life, so it doesn't matter to me. You know,
Well,
whatever.
I'm gonna be taking a week off sometime in August. And I'm
Who gave you
taking,
permission to do that?
I was ordered to do so
Nice.
by the powers that be.
It's
By
good
the powers
advice.
that give birth to your children. Mhm.
Exactly.
Oh, I dig it. I
Don't
dig
mess
it.
with them.
So far, it's sounding like both of those dates are iffy.
Would a Thursday night be better? Say the 11th or the 25th?
Tim, you're still going to be out. You're still going to be out of town, right?
I'm out, right. I'm out the same week as Steve.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the week that falls in between those 2 dates.
Yep, it's the 18th.
Yeah.
So the 17th and 18th I'd be out, but I could do the 25th. Thursdays are generally okay.
Okay. How's everybody else with Thursdays?
Fine with me.
It's been bad, but I don't know.
Does anybody know where the sewer department meets? Or sewer commission, whatever they are?
They meet at 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. All
All right, so they're not.
I believe.
All right, so I'm crossing them right off my list. Okay.
Yeah, we elect to just keep it like it is.
It would be nice, but I mean, if it's a state law that we have to go back. I haven't seen. I don't know where I don't know the state law that says we have to go back to in-person meetings. I don't know where that is.
Because
Probably
drop this on every board and give us, a lead time of, a few weeks. That's just like really typical Massachusetts lack of planning and
totally.
Well, the only thing that I've heard that the legislature has been discussing is to return in person, but allow the public to participate remotely.
Yeah,
So it sounds like whatever they're looking at, we're going to be back in the room.
Well,
oh yeah.
Bear in mind, there's some provision we discussed before the pandemic that would allow some board members to participate remotely. So we may have a situation where some of us are actually dialing in. So, and I don't know how they're going to accommodate that in town, or whether that's going to be implemented and technically capable, but legally, I believe we can have a hybrid.
I think.
We voted on that a long time
But
ago.
that doesn't solve the scheduling problem.
Right, right.
When you're remote, you can have two boards meeting at the same time and
Right.
not worry about the logistics of scheduling a room and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, agreed. The room thing is a problem.
Yeah, we'll go back to having our meetings in the break room downstairs.
In that little room.
We've done it. I guarantee it, within the first at least 2 years of me being associated with the board, we had a couple different meetings in that room.
Okay,
And
planning board meetings in there.
that's my point, saying that they're literally forcing everybody to do this. And then on top of that, there's talk that the downstairs conference room is going to be turned into offices. So we won't even have that.
Well, we'll have a little baby conference room.
What's that going to do?
It would definitely be down. It would mean you'd have to do hybrid meetings.
And then the other thing to do, we talked about this, the last plan, one of the last planning board meetings I went to where they were talking about the floodplain bylaw. They had that in that offshoot meeting room in the high school. The doorway to get in there was directly across from the stage left side entrance. So it's smaller than the auditorium. It's about it's less than a quarter. It's probably an eighth of the size of the high school auditorium, but it's big enough for, honestly, it would probably be big enough to have a shingle mill meeting for anybody that wanted to come in.
Yeah,
When are they coming back? Ever? Are they ever coming back?
August 2nd.
Oh, yeah, we have got nothing from them new, correct?
Nothing.
Yes, we did.
Islands.
I got a packet from Candy.
Was there anything new in it?
Whole bunch of stuff.
When did you get it?
Oh, let me go look at it.
Yeah, I'd like to see, this is why I respect what she did. I respect what she's doing right now. But if Shingle Mill got something new in and Deb doesn't know about it, I have a major problem with that. Her job currently right now, actually, and I know it's changed, but her job right now is regulatory coordination, most specifically for the zoning board. That's her job. That's what she gets paid to do.
Let's see. The letter for the DP.
What's the letter dated, Bob?
The original letter is dated October 30th, 2019, but it's stamped by the town clerk January 21st, 2022.
Great.
Okay, Deb, I need you to reach out to her and find out what the hell's going on.
That should be on the website.
Yeah, but if it was just recent, when was it recently stamped? Are you sure this is a new package, Bob?
Yes, she delivered it to my house. She dropped one off at Tim's house too.
Tim, you got this?
I don't have anything. I don't have anything from Candy.
Neither do
Is there
I.
anything, so there's nothing, obviously nothing on the website because Deb doesn't know
What
about
was
it.
Okay.
What was the date stamped?
Hold on. This is what I'm gonna ask, all right? I don't want anybody going off kilter, especially me. Deb,
Yeah.
reach out to Candy tomorrow and tell her she needs to update you on everything on everything Shingle Mill. Because if Bob Baker's got something, I don't have anything. Tim's saying that he doesn't have anything.
Well, this was like May. This was,
I'm wondering, is
this
that the
was-
previous meeting?
yeah, that was from May. It is, and it,
It's on the
and it was,
packet.
part of it was the agenda for the May 17th meeting.
Okay. That I know about.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that-
got something,
that-
but I don't think it was any more recent than what Tim just referred to.
Right, same here.
That had the March letter that Bob's talking about in it. It had May 6th letter, the March, February 11th letter.
At this point, the only
March
thing
2nd
new
letter.
I think that we have is coming from that
meeting.
new engineering company. That's the only thing new that we've got.
5/7, 5/17.
May 17th.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah, we
we had a
had-
meeting. It was a meeting scheduled for then.
That was
That
the
was-
last hearing that we had, I believe.
We continued.
Was that even I don't even know if that was an actual meeting. We've just,
Wasn't it? Yeah, I think it was continued.
yeah, but we've been continuing this since last summer.
Yeah.
Do we get
I don't even
something on June 7th?
Hmm?
Do we get something from Candy on June 7th?
The last meeting, the last in-person meeting that we had, or the last meeting that we've had on Shingle Mill was the one where we decided to have the peer review look at the geotechnical reports. As far as I know, that was the last meeting that we had. And if that's the case, we've been continuing it ever since. I feel like we've been continuing it constantly, but that is right. We did have a something where that's where he was coming in and saying they were changing things. So maybe, yeah, maybe that was it. Maybe it was May 17th.
I seem to remember us saying he needs to respond to the response of the peer review. And they asked to continue it. This was the last time around, if I'm not mistaken. Does that sound?
What response to the peer review?
That letter
Rue Engineering.
yeah.
What response did he need to make? That was the whole thing with Rue Engineering was backing up what they were all saying.
Now, there was a few things. Well, I don't know. I mean, I can see how they probably want to get a response to some of the things that he had to say. And then he asked for a continuance. This was the last time around, if I'm not mistaken. Does this sound familiar to anybody?
You're correct. So that was,
Sounds
again,
familiar.
this is the May 17th meeting.
Okay.
We actually met at 5:30 to talk about the school.
Mhm.
And then the Shingle Mill hearings at 6:30, and will be continued at their request, and they wrote a letter dated May 12th requesting the continuance. And in that letter, he wrote, let it serve as the client's request to continue the public hearing until July 19th as well. And then they extend the time frame. By way of explanation, the applicant has been actively working with the DEP and recently completed field work that will necessitate modifying the site plan. Modifications are in process and 75% complete. They just received the May 6th report from Rue Engineering and will require more time to review and respond.
Okay, so the word we haven't, as far as I'm concerned, we haven't gotten anything new from them. So
That's correct.
what we would
Nothing
be
from Candy.
what
Nothing
we
new.
would be expecting would be revised site plans. It sounds like revised site plans.
Well,
And
well,
a response. Hold on.
do we
What
be talking about this?
Why wouldn't we?
Not on the agenda.
We're talking about it only because we're doing
It's a
scheduling and you
discussion
said we
item.
had new information in. So
Yeah, this is a discussion item because it's pertaining to scheduling at this point.
so
you know,
right now, we
we're-
don't have anything, except that we have a date scheduled for the 2nd.
Right.
Yeah.
But I agree with Mr. Haynes. I agree with Mr. Haynes. So we need to, Deb, what I would ask is just coordinate with Candy and see
I
if they've
will.
gotten anything new. You know, if she's gotten anything new.
Do we have anything scheduled for July 19th?
We
Yes,
do.
Webster Street.
And 808 Market Street.
Are you gonna be here? Are you asking for, are you asking for, because you're not gonna be here, or?
Nope, just making sure I've got it on my schedule. And I just want to make sure that we are having a meeting on the 19th.
Yes.
Anybody else? We still good? We good? Yes? Deb, are you all set?
So at this point, no extra scheduling of meetings unless something comes in and because the only problem I see with the high school room is going to be like the schools, which shouldn't be a problem in August. So let me find out what I can do about that and see if there's any dates that it's not available. And then we'll just take it from there.
We run into having to hire a
Sounds
custodian
good.
for summer evening.
It's like,
I didn't hear what you said, Mr. Baker.
I said, do we need to be concerned about having to hire a custodian if we're using the high school?
It's potential, but worst case
Probably.
scenario, I can talk to, it's potential, but I'll talk to the powers that be to see if we have to, because quite honestly, we got no money in the budget right now.
I know.
no,
So, let me see what,
Okay.
if it comes down to it, well, I'll talk to people. So,
well, you knew the budget started last Friday.
yeah, it's already gone.
That much already?
Give Mills a letter.
I know exactly. Let's not talk about it anymore. We're making it happen as time goes on. We're making stuff happen. So whatever we have to do, we'll deal with it as it comes. So at this point, again, Deb, hold on, Deb, you said no new meetings, so we don't have to worry about that. And as far as you're concerned, we've talked about everything that you need to discuss.
Yes.
Now I'll accept that motion.
Second.
Okay, I got a motion. I got a second. Roll call. Myself, yes. Mr. Baker Senior,
Yes.
Mr. Haynes,
Yeah.
Mr. Tanzi,
Yes.
MBJ. What do you got, sir?
Oh, I'm sorry.
I know you didn't expect it. MBJ.
You got me all confused now. Yes.
Okay, sir. Out of here.
In whatever persona I'm voting in. So there you go.
I have something. I really appreciate three-letter abbreviations. So, I like that. And MBJ just sounds good. So, all right, gentlemen, lady.
Well, next time.
Thank you for putting up with
Good
this.
night, everyone.